This is episode 1, another solo episode with me, and today we're going to be talking about my own personal journey and how I connected to my own purpose. I fell into a depression during this time, and I had a conversation with my dad. He finally just stopped and just said, "Where would you feel the most you? Where would you feel the most energy?" It was one of the pivotal moments of my life to think of things that way. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the Living on Purpose podcast. When you send me your screenshot of the review to Kathryn at klzmethod.com, we will send you our KLZ Method workout for the chakras. Also, as you're listening, screenshot your favorite part and share it with us on Instagram at klz.method. I love hearing from you and sharing your thoughts and comments. I'm so grateful to you and all of our amazing listeners for helping us to grow the podcast and share its guests and message with more people. Before we head into the show, here's a quick word from our sponsor. The KLZ Method membership is pulling up this month with a promo code combining high-intensity interval training, boxing, and strength workouts, along with yoga, pranayama or breath work, kundalini kriyas, affirmation, and chakra study to bring us to the best version of ourselves. This is the opposite of slamming a caffeinated beverage, cranking up the tunes, and vacating the body while you just do it. We are bringing connection back to the body, expressing so much gratitude for this blessing that we've been given. With easily accessible, pre-recorded, and live content, joining this monthly membership and high vibe community is an absolute must. Use discount code podcast10 at checkout for $10 off the monthly membership. Now let's start the show. So I grew up in a small town with 3 younger brothers and sisters, 2 sisters and 1 brother. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I loved being around people. I loved the hospitality industry, and I loved relationships and being around people. And so it was kind of determined, since I had no other aspirations, that I would go to college and I would study communications and public relations. And once I got there, I did not feel impassioned about that course of study. And as a result, compounded with other factors as well, I nearly failed out of college. I was on probation after the first semester just because the classes were not really inspiring me. I didn't know where I was going to go to utilize any of the things that I was learning, and I was pretty burnt out from a lot of athletics and cross country and track and, doubling up on athletics in the season and things like that. So I was really exhausted and didn't really know how to live on my own just yet. After I was put on probation, I had to figure out something, and I always work really well once it's time to turn on the heat, then I can really activate. So then at that point, the purpose is don't get kicked out of college, right? Like that was my purpose at that point. So I lit up and I got involved in Spanish classes a little bit more, and I got involved in working with young kids. And that was my drive, was to work with kids that were coming from backgrounds of poverty and abuse and neglect. And that was my purpose for the next few years. That really helped me to learn Spanish and to connect with my studies, and it got me graduated. After I graduated, I took a job with an adoption agency, working with their reunification program, working with young kids that had been removed from their families for reasons of abuse or neglect. And the family reunification program believed that we could go in and help these families learn some new skills, and that we could then reunify the families. And so I worked in that job for about a year, and I was super lit up. I was so excited to make really positive changes for these kids. And I would bother my boss all the time about fundraisers and how we could do this. And, my ideas were just so big and out of the realm of do what a corporation can generally do. And so I hit a lot of roadblocks with, no, we can't do that. No, we need to do this. I love your passion, but no, we can't do that. After running my passions dry with realizing that I wasn't making any difference and that I was just really draining my energy. It was really a very hard time seeing children really affected in ways that I couldn't do anything about. I fell into a depression during this time. It wasn't the first, it wasn't the last. It was something that I struggled with throughout a lot of my life, specifically in my 20s. And I had a conversation with my dad during that time, and he was just discussing things with me. You know, was it a different job? Was it a different field? Was it going back for a master's degree? What was it? You know, what did I need to do? And he finally just stopped and went big picture with the whole conversation and just said, where would you feel the most you? Where would you feel the most energy? And it really surprised me. I didn't expect him to come up with that, but it was one of the pivotal moments of my life to think of things that way. I had studied abroad in Mexico and Barcelona, and I just loved being in Barcelona with all the people everywhere and the public transportation. I know that sounds crazy to say, but I just loved being around all the people. It was just so fun. So, you know, I told him I really just wanted to be in a city. And so Chicago was, 4 hours from where I was. And I packed up my car, broke up with a boyfriend of 4 years, and moved in with a friend that I really didn't know that well, other than that she had a room that I could rent for a little bit of time, and just gave it a shot. It was the best thing I had ever done. It really recalibrated my entire life, going to a place where I felt the energy, where I felt my song was being sung, So I got there and I found a cocktailing job, and I found another place to rent. And then I did my yoga teacher training, and I made my way to the Board of Trade and hustled my way up there. And that's just that's just the beginning of the story that I want to kind of share, because I think it really illustrates just the background of when we don't have a purpose, when we don't feel good, it's so easy to drop our energy lower into those depressing and anxiety energies. This is my story. This has been my experience. And I'm certainly not saying that all anxieties and all depressions are related to this kind of thing. But in my history, in my experience, this has definitely been something that I recognize really syncing up. So let's move ahead a little bit more into the story of my life and my relationship with my purpose and depression and anxiety to a place where I'm now a new mom. And without really any specific purpose for what I wanted to do with my life, one thing I always knew I wanted to do was be a mom. I had 3 younger brothers and sisters, and I love taking care of people. And so I was really always, whatever I decided to do as a career, I knew that I always wanted to be a mom. That was one thing that really motivated me in a lot of ways in different parts of my life. So here I am now. I'm a new mom. I had left my job at the Chicago Board of Trade, where I was a broker on the trading floor. I was one of 4 women in a pit of 200 men, and to say that it was inspiring is an understatement. During that time, I was so lit up. It was completely eat what you kill. And so any revenue that I created, I took a direct percentage of that. And it was just something that I could see, and I was going after it. I wasn't sure that I was going to be having a partner to raise a child with. And so I just told myself, you just better make some money then, because you might be adopting a child or something, and you might be on your own. So I was really hustling, and I was really loving it. And when Rose was born, I decided to leave the trading floor. It was a lot of what I thought I should do. I should be a stay-at-home mom. I should not be in a role that was so intense with all these, with all these men and yelling and screaming all day. I should stay at home now. And I really lost my identity during that time. I was so grateful for Rose to be born, and it was so amazing to be a mom. It was everything that I wanted, which almost compounded it, because it was as if I had one thing that I knew that I wanted, and here it was, and now I'm somehow lost. Somehow I don't even know who I am, and the stillness. I truly believe that I was going through an adrenaline withdrawal, where you're so used to your body operating a certain way, and then it just stops. It was really a difficult time for me, and Rose's delivery was not very easy, and my postpartum was not very easy. And it was just so quiet, and she wasn't sleeping, rocking a baby for 20 minutes to get her to finally go to sleep, and she would sleep 10 or 15 minutes. So It was a really, really difficult time. As full as my heart was and as happy as I was on so many levels, it was really hard. I remember just feeling numb and just not knowing how to reconnect with myself anymore. I had a lot of things that I really liked. Just a short time before that, I was very active and had a lot of friends and liked to do a lot of things. I was boxing, 3 times a week. But at this point, I just didn't even know where to go to find myself. None of my fitness things were really connecting with me. Going and sitting quietly and having a glass of wine and a salad wasn't connecting with me. Walking around the city and listening to music. Anytime that I was away from Rose, I felt like I should be with her. So it was just a whole time in my life where I really just lost myself. It was almost harder this time because I had found myself and I knew myself so well. And to now lose myself in a different kind of way was really shocking. It was like the rug was pulled out from underneath me. A few years later, I started to feel a little bit better. Babies start sleeping and you're not nursing and all that kind of stuff anymore. So your hormones at least calibrate. And little Frank was conceived, and it was such a exciting time. But then during his pregnancy, I still could feel, if you've been through depression and anxiety, you know that feeling when you wake up in the morning and before your eyes are even open, before you're even really conscious, you wake up and you just kind of ask yourself, how hard is it going to be today to get through this day? Is it going to be anxiety? Is it going to be depression? What am I going to be battling today? He's getting closer to his birthday and he's breached. So I went to see some Chinese acupuncturists and I was connecting with all these people that I used to really work with a lot, all these practitioners and spiritual healers and stuff like that. I connected in with my favorite energy healer. And she said, "Why didn't you call me sooner? Parts of your soul have started to leave your body. Where are you? What happened?" And it surprised me, but it didn't surprise me. I really identified with what she was saying. I felt that my soul was not feeling at home in my body. I worked with her through the rest of the pregnancy. Baby Frank was born natural. He was not breech. And I worked with these healers for the next 9 months. I really took things seriously and threw pretty much everything that I could at my energy to make sure that I was vibrating at the highest frequency that I could. I had 2 small kids and not a lot of time. So meditation, time in nature, listening to sound frequencies, getting back into my Kundalini practice, working out in a different kind of way. All of these things were part of how I really moved into a higher frequency for myself and for my family. I connected into source energy in a deeper way than I ever had before. And I really started to speak to my guides very frequently. My guides, my higher self, and my ascended masters. I started to communicate with them. I attribute part of it to being in nature, from being in the city where it's tough to connect with nature to having moved out to the suburbs and having all of the forest preserves available and spending a lot of time out there just feeling those frequencies really supported me and really helped me to connect. And I would just ask my guides and my ascended masters and my higher self, I would just speak with them out loud sometimes. What is my life's purpose? What is my life's purpose? What is my life's purpose? Over and over and over and over. And I would listen to different podcasts and really get into some good gratitude. So one of the major ways that I was able to shift my vibration when things got, turned upside down, as they do when you have small kids, I would find something that just felt good, whatever it was. And it's in the small things. So if it's a warm cup of tea that you really just love, really, really connecting into that warmth or that taste or that feel and just expressing so much gratitude about it. Or when you wake up first thing in the morning, they say if you can spend the first few minutes of your morning in gratitude, and that doesn't mean dropping down to your knees, not that it can mean dropping down to your knees and praying, but waking up in the morning and as you're waking up, feeling the fresh air from a window that might be open or feeling a cool pillow or just feeling your snuggly pajamas or your warm blanket and just really diving into the gratitude, really finding that perspective to connect into the gratitude for all the small things. There are going to be a million things that pull you away from that vibration, but we are constantly calibrating, and we're starting our mornings in such a divine way, in such a gratitude way. That really helped me a lot. One misconception that I think happens with gratitude is that people feel like they need to say gratitudes for their family or for their warm house or for food. And while we are all very grateful to have those things, what we're really trying to do is shift the vibration, the internal vibration. We're trying to shift the feelings, and we're really trying to connect into the gratitude. And sometimes, as much as we love our family and our house, we just don't feel the gratitude there, where if we really connect into that hot cup of coffee or whatever it is, we can feel it, right? And so we can really expound that feeling out further when we connect in with those small things. It's just easier. That really helped me a lot. And asking my guides for my purpose, just constantly saying, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And after a while, I started to say, I know that I want to do something that helps people. I know that I want to do something that is fun, that I delight in. I know that I want to afford a lifestyle for my kids that we can travel and we can show them everything, show them the world. And I know that I want to do it with a bunch of people that are really fun and like-minded. What is my life's purpose? What is my life's purpose? What is my life's purpose? Bring me my tribe. Bring me my tribe. Where are the like-minded people? And I just kept saying that for a year. I'm not even kidding. It took a year before my guides started to show me personal training. And as they were showing me personal training, I was thinking new. I was thinking it was something more along the lines of hosting retreats or making little cute gift bags or something more spiritual. So when I was being shown personal training, I was feeling resistance about it, thinking that it was something much more spiritual than personal training. And so I resisted it for a good 9 months and said, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. And they kept showing me little things. And when I say they were showing me little things, what I mean is I kept getting little bites on the personal training thing. I kept having neighbors ask me if they would train me, or I kept having contacts show up related to personal training. Just little things related to personal training kept popping up. And simultaneously, as I was trying to build into some kind of retreats or do something along those lines, those things were like a hard no. Like they were shut down hardcore, door slammed in my face. I remember I was going to see this girl about her location in Michigan, about hosting a retreat. And it just happened that she blew me off 2 times in a row. So watching for the signs and what they're showing you and following the ease is one way that I personally really connect to my true purpose and connect into how my guides are showing me the steps towards that. So in conclusion, wrapping up this first episode, KLZ method now is personal training. It's all the different modalities that I used as I was changing throughout my life with boxing during the time that I was on the trading floor, with the personal training and the high intensity interval workouts that I did after I had kids and I needed to just do a compound workout in as short of time as possible, to the strength workouts that I've always loved, to Kundalini yoga and meditation and affirmations and sound frequencies and chakra study, breath work, all the things, the yoga that I studied in my 20s, everything into one cohesive place. And it's really amazing how the guides will show you the way. So when they were showing me personal training and I was saying no, they weren't saying it's personal training, this is the end, this is your final answer. They were saying follow personal training for a while. And when I finally did listen and I finally did follow that, it did navigate me into the other realms. It did show me the path. So when you're following your purpose, whether you're starting today or you're continuing on an existing journey, keep that in mind. Just keep it in the back of your head that what I'm seeing right now might not be the answer forever. It might just be the answer for right now. And I also like to keep in mind too that this work isn't something that began in this lifetime. And so it's most likely not going to be completed in this lifetime. I truly believe that we are all here in these beautiful bodies on this amazing planet at this specific time because our soul has a contract that it wants to fulfill. For me personally, when I was not in alignment with my true purpose, I felt terrible. I knew I wasn't living in my highest vibration. I knew I wasn't living on course with what my soul wanted to be here for. I hope you've enjoyed our time together with this episode. It has been a trip recollecting. Share with me what your favorite part was, and also send it to anyone that might like this as inspiration or information. Don't forget about that promo code for the KLZ Method membership, podcast 10 at checkout for $10 off your monthly membership. www.klzmethod.com. Sending you so much love. Thanks for being with me, and see you next time.